I don't believe that I've brought any mechanical innovations to this sport whatsoever. I'm constantly learning them, but I feel like my value has been a leader to other drivers and to other teams of not being afraid to show your personality, or not being afraid to show the highs and the lows and the relatability of what we go through. Because when I first came in, and not very long ago, it was you're only allowed to just highlight your wins, and I'm like, gosh, they make it look so easy. And then when I'm like, it's not easy over here, it can't be easy over there. And I got my hand slapped quite a bit for talking about whatever failures we had, or whatever failures I was going through, mechanical problems, manufacturer malfunctions, whatever they may be. But then it just makes your wins that much greater, and then you're able to relate to an audience that didn't know that before. So I'm still going through that, but I feel my small involvement, innovation, I wouldn't call it that, but progress has been leading our generation into telling people, come on over, join the party. We want to share with you what this is really like, because everybody can do it. And I think that is a facade that we even see today, is people think this is so awesome seeing what you've done or what I'm currently doing, and they just think that they can't do it because it seems so unattainable. So I believe my development in that has been able to show that put your mind to it, and whatever gifts God has given you, and they're not all the same, that you can make it in this industry, even if you're not a genius and not particularly an innovator, but there is a place for you here, as long as you want to drive a car and you can do it pretty well.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I did for drag racing was get the rear engine dragster in a condition where it could go down the quarter mile. Prior to that car being introduced in 1971, 6 people were killed in the 2 years leading up to that. Now, they haven't killed 6 people in the 50 years since, and look how much faster they go. And I tell you, it really tugs at my heart when I go to the drag races and I see all the classes are rear engine cars. Everybody, even the little junior dragsters are rear engine. And it just kind of tugs at my heart. And then I think of all the lives that it probably saved. And I'll never forget my wife telling me we couldn't get the rear engine car to run. It was about 3 months, and I hadn't been down the track yet one time. And we put a nice slingshot together, the double throwdown thing for 1971. My wife come out in the shop and said, "What is this?" She knew what it was because nobody had sent us a deposit for a new car. And I said, "Honey, this is my car for 1971." And she said, "You would get back in one of those things after it's mutilated you like that?" I said, "Honey, this is what I do." I said, "And besides, it don't have a transmission," because that's what had blown up and hurt me. And she said, "Let me tell you something. Not one of your friends that was killed in the last 2 years was killed by a transmission. There's 100 things back there that can hurt you. You don't belong behind that engine. Get back on that rear engine project." So we did, and we sorted it out. And I think that was my contribution to the sport, for sure. Oh no, of course not. That's why I always had a business. I never always had a shop or a business or something, because I always figured this drag racing would just kind of, because everybody said it, you know, all the experts and the big time racers, they said, well, the round track guys called it squirt racing, you know, that was their favorite.
Squirt and split.
Yeah. And it just laughed about it, you know, it didn't last long enough. And of course, it lasted 15, 16 seconds then versus 3.5 now. It is a little too quick, to tell the truth. For
I don't
enjoyment.
know about
if it wasn't
that.
for slow motion and everything, you couldn't even hardly enjoy the cars, and they go so fast. I mean, they're gone. And even the driver doesn't get a long enough ride anymore. I used to at least get 5 or 6 seconds, you know.
Have you eased into the throttle, maybe?
But it amazes me how much they've been able to do with these materials, what they've built, and how they can get the performance out of it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I understand that they get around 11,500 horse. I mean, think of those guys that did that 426 Hemi back then, and they thought it was really something to get the 400 horse, you know. But boy, did they build a brood. See, that thing was designed to be as powerful on the 500th lap as it was on the first lap. And to do that, it had to have integrity, it had to be strong. And the proof of that is that now they can get that much horsepower only for a few seconds. But, you know, there's no engine that I know that can do that.
I do, yeah, especially when I lived a little bit closer in Indy. Same thing, we had the Wild Wednesday nights, and actually one of the first week that I had my Hellcat Challenger, put it out there and then radials, and wanted to get some slicks, didn't have time, but there, and then, you know, down here in Florida, there's times when we'll be testing the drag pack for 2-3 days in a row, and like, guys are ready to get up and go, and then there'll be a test and tune that night, and like, I just like going and watching, and whether it's another car that we're testing, but just hanging out, the cultures are different too, and I love seeing that, because for me, growing up in Southern California, I just knew that drag racing culture, and then Indy was a little bit different. Come to Florida, it's a little bit different, and the more that you race professionally, maybe the more disconnected you get. So for me, I mean, it's a date night, either with myself or with Tony or just a group of friends to go down there and do some betting and pick out your favorite cars, and you're just calling the shots from the grandstands. And I truly enjoy that, not just because it brings me back, but because it's awesome to see what people are doing with their project cars, with their dream cars, and enjoying drag racing at its heart. And I feel like if I didn't have that, and I didn't make time for that, I could get lost in the world of the business, of the job, and the heart and the horsepower of what we do lies within the Wednesday night drags for sure, I think.
Well, I always go to Gainesville to the Gator Nationals naturally. But I do go up to the Gainesville track for the test and tune every so often and test one of my cars, or take my grandson up and let him make some runs, and, you know, and some of the employees go up with me from the museum, and they get to drive these cars and have some fun. And really that is a lot of fun, because we're not breaking anything, we're not usually having to work on them at the track, and it's just, you know, make the loop and put on your helmet and make a run.
And there's, you know, other series, so like Modern Street Hemi Shootout, or Horsepower Wars. I enjoy being a part of those. You even get to interact with the fans, and they're happy to see someone from the NHRA series, but I'll run 3 or 4 different cars, and whether it's a twin turbo carbon fiber Demon, like, you know, where we're trying to keep that record down to a red eye or an RT, and like just getting anything, and have a grudge race with somebody, and like I literally get, it's not maybe the same amount of nerves, but I'm out there, I'm racing, and I'm wanting to chop that guy's head off, and I'm gonna make sure I understand the track and what we've got in tire pressure and burnout and temps and the whole thing, like whatever the best capabilities are for that car, because I'm in it next to that other guy who, by all means, right, if they run against you and they beat you, I mean, they've got it signed in their trailer and they've taken home the gold. But I feel like if I go and beat, you know, your Wednesday night guy, or someone that's waited 4 months to run a Hemi Shootout, like that's just as important to him as it is to me. And that's how I know that I truly love the discipline of drag racing, because of how excited I get, or if I get to run the flashlight because the trees broke, whatever it may be, like it is, I glow up, and there's not anything else that does it for me like drag racing.